I knew it at an early age. Part of the reason why I became an actor is I had an inkling that it was going to make me a better person.
Really? That is.
When
Yeah.
I was secretly dreaming of possibly becoming an actor without any rhyme or reason, I thought if
Yeah.
I became an actor, it would make me a better person.
It hasn't made everybody a better person, I would say.
It's not a cure-all, everyone. Hey guys, welcome to the Actor's Guide to the End of the World podcast, where we talk about acting in Hollywood in a way people understand. I'm your host, Econ Song, and this is my co-host.
Rianchi Kelly, how's it going?
What's up, buddy?
I'm good.
Follow us wherever you find your podcast at Actors Guide Podcast, and make sure you follow us on all social media at Actors Guide Podcast. And if you get a chance, write a review. We greatly appreciate it. So first up, we have big news coming out of California. A record number of film and TV projects just got approved for the tax credit. So that's huge. That's a really good sign. We also have a story that Sing Sing, Oscar-nominated film, they paid everyone on set the same. And they're going to try to create a new pay model for independent film. We also have a story coming out of Anora. There's been some backlash for our Oscars darling. There's reports from the crew that when the film shoot turned union, that Sean Baker threw a hissy fit, in quotes. Possibly he was anti-union. So not a great look for a filmmaker who often does films about marginalized communities. So we're going to take a look into what really happened. So this is our indie film episode. These are the stories from the Oscars that didn't make a lot of the airwaves, but we're doing it this episode.
And we reveal the secret of the Bermuda Triangle once and for all. People listen to the end and go, God, those fucking guys did it again. I hate them. That's not true, by the way. We don't do that. So if you're planning on listening to the episode all the way through to hear about the Bermuda Triangle, don't. It's not true. But if you like indie film, keep listening.
And also, if you don't make it to the end of the episode, we do have Hidden Gems. Hidden Gems is a little nugget. We like to say thanks for listening all the way through. It's a little thing that we learned along the way or we found during our week, and we want to share with others that we think people might enjoy. And now, a word from our sponsor.
And our sponsor this week is AI Headshots. Want to look like Brad Pitt? And our sponsor this week is AI. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this. And want to look like Brad Pitt, but you look like an armpit?
AI Headshots got you covered. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe you're fugly, but thankfully there's an app for that.
Oh, good.
AI Headshots, it's like you, but way better.
There you go. Jesus.
So this just got announced this week. 51 titles just got approved for film and TV tax credits. That's the most ever in the first round. Yeah, go ahead.
So, 50. Okay, across the board. Sorry, film and TV tax credits. So
exactly. I was just about to bring that up. So technically, what we're looking at, that we have one, couple of the high-profile projects. There's one project with RuPaul. I don't know whether that's TV or film. The next movie from the Everything Everywhere All at Once directors, their next project is one of them, which is really cool. And a lot of independent films. So out of all those 51, I think like 46 is indie films, which is cool. I mean, to be honest, that's actually another sign, the fact that indie films are blossoming right now. We're coming off of Anora's, award season. And so, indie films looking really strong. We've talked about Keep California Rolling. We talked about Stay in LA. Keep California Rolling is a movement to keep productions in California. They recently just lobbied over in Sacramento 100 members from the Entertainment Union Coalition, talking to lawmakers and pushing them to prioritize California jobs. I don't know if they're correlated, but it's a really great sign for California. Or these productions are estimated to spend $346.9 million in wages, approximately $577.8 million in qualified expenditures, expected to hire 6,490 cast and crew members.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but is that unprecedented levels of production in LA in the last few years? Or is that kind of...
I don't know. The record-breaking part of this is the fact that 51 projects is the most that was ever approved in the first round of tax incentives. So that's the record-breaking. As far as the amount of money, I'm not sure how the money works out, because we got to remember, with all of these great movements, we actually need to get it approved by lawmakers in California. So nothing is for certain. Like Newsom proposed $750 million for the film and tax credit. Obviously, that's boosting it up. He proposed that last year, so that's not set in stone.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was a done deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about. I just did a video about this week. I'll put in the show description, but those two bills that we talked about a couple weeks ago to improve the tax credits, that needs to get approved. Keep California rolling. It's lobbying. It's basically a bunch of members talking about how important California jobs are and how important it is to California. We're always going to be lobbying.
ABL, guys. ABL. Always be lobbying.
But the fact that 51 projects just got announced and people are intending to shoot in California, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's a big boost. I often wonder how that stacks up to other cities. Like how many I must look
it's funny. I've been meaning to dig into the numbers. So, yeah.
So, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll do some research down the line.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening.
That's a tease.
Thanks for listening to us speculate on what we'd like to do.
So, the Sing Sing filmmakers, they had a revolutionary pay model for financing Sing Sing. They paid everyone on set the same, top down, Colman Domingo, everyone, and all crew. But also, everybody got equity, which is unheard of. I mean, it's crazy.
Amazing.
It's like that's very, very rare. Sing Sing was the true life story about a rehabilitative theater program at the Sing Sing Correctional Facility. A lot of the actors were real former prisoners.
Oh.
So just imagine the camaraderie and the community on this set. That just sounds like a great set to be on.
And scale means the minimum that your union will allow you to be paid.
As of the time of this article, for low budget films, this is low budget is between $300,000 and $700,000. The SAG daily rate is $420. For films with budgets below $2 million, so a little higher, the rate is $783. Part of their strategy and part of their vision is it's usually very vague how you determine who gets points. So on crew would usually never get it. Smaller actors sometimes won't get it, depending on what the production is. So they wanted a system that had transparency. They wanted a system where if you worked this many days during a phase of production, you would get that many points. This has never been done before. And so... and then there's a quote here from one of the filmmakers. Their quote is, "The other bigger thing that we were trying to solve was everyone kills themselves for an independent film. But then if the film is a success, financially or otherwise, only a few people typically share in that success. And the rest of the people are thanked for their service and they move on to the next one where they kill themselves again." The filmmakers were Greg Quidar and Clint Bentley, who are also launching a company called Ethos, who are looking to expand this model and do this for other independent films. They also talk about how investors usually get paid first. The investors get paid out 100% of their investment first, plus 20% before those with creative equity receive a penny. So they created the split off the top where 60% went to investors first and 40% went to cast and crew. And then once investors got 120%, then they split it 50-50. So this is all an experiment. They said it's less about financial structure and more about mentality. Everyone needs to be on board, including Colman Domingo, including all the other investors. And so this is a perfect example of this tricky territory where we're in for Hollywood studios and independent films. Their first film, they had 30 equity holders on the creative side. It was called Jockey. Sing Sing they had 80, and then it sold to A24 out of last year's Toronto Film Festival. They were using this as an experiment to scale up, and everyone is getting rewarded. Everyone is getting rewarded for all of their hard work. This is the tricky line that we're in for independent film. We talk about Brady Corbett making $0 for The Brutalist. Sean Baker, independent film lifer, talked about you get paid your minimum and then you live off that for 3 or 4 years. And so this is the tricky territory where what is sustainable for independent filmmakers? And Hollywood studios don't really know what they're doing. So hopefully this is going in the right direction. To make it harder is in the era of streaming, usually films would make revenue off of box office. Sometimes they don't make it to the theater. Sometimes they don't get a good run in the theater. And then also they make money on DVDs. Well, if we don't have that, then there's really only streaming left, and they don't see a lot of revenue coming from that. Also add this idea of ownership. I mean, how amazing is that? Every cast and crew would have a piece of ownership. When the actors and the writers were striking and we were negotiating 2 years ago, we were fighting the studios for part ownership, revenue sharing. We didn't get it. So this is how much, this is how big that is. The fact that they would get a piece of the pie in the film's success.
That'd be, I mean, yeah, I love hearing stories like that. I'd love if we're scaled up and people started doing it. I don't know, you know, like I don't know if I see it spreading, but how cool would that be?
I know. I think people need to find flexibility and basically find a way out that's sustainable. I mean, at the very least, I think this is huge for independent film.
You know, I've been listening a lot to Colman Domingo. I've been watching a lot of clips of Colman Domingo. He's a great story. And I really enjoy watching his interviews, but he talks about, you know, how he wasn't making money as an actor and he thought, well, this is as good as it gets. And he was going from, you know, jobs to his bartending job. And he's a great example of an actor who just stuck with it and is now getting great recognition and great success. But like, had a number of years that were just, you know, grinding away like a lot of actors do. But I love hearing those success stories.
Yeah. We talked about this briefly before, but I'll never forget. One of my favorite bits from him is, you know, people would interview because he used to bartend and do all those waiter jobs. And people would be like, man, I remember you when you were a struggling actor. And his mindset, which says a lot to what you're saying, is he never had that story in his head. He was like, oh, I don't remember I was ever a struggling actor. I was never a suffering artist. I don't remember that. I remembered, you know, embracing the journey and enjoying the ride and all that stuff and just working my butt off. So I think it's another great story on mindset.
There's nothing better than working with somebody who just like, you know, like a bigger actor, a bigger star or whatever, who just likes everybody, who's just sound and good to work with and is very respectful of everybody and friendly. Like I heard a story, you know, from one of the drivers yesterday on this production that I'm on about and I won't mention any names here, but about a very problematic actor on a job a few years ago here, like just a nightmare. And you know, he was telling me all the different stories from set, which were, you know, because that stuff gets around. That's the thing. Like when somebody acts in that way, the news travels. You know what I mean? Like it's, how do they expect to continue working if that's how they treat people? And it was a foreign production in Ireland. It wasn't an Irish actor or anything. It was someone from overseas, and it was, but it was quite.
For anyone who's trying to deduce who it is, he wasn't Irish.
You'll never find it. And it may not have been male either. I said actor, but I meant that as a generic term.
Yeah, that's true. It's even more important, the camaraderie and the community on set. And I always believe that it goes from the top stars down, whether it's, you know, the director, obviously, but also if it's an A-list star, then they usually control the tone. So you hope that they're good team players.
It's always so encouraging when you work on a set that's really warm and friendly and, you know, everybody's having a good time. Like the current, like the production I'm on at the moment is a joy to be on. Like everybody's so relaxed and it's fun and there's no stress, anything else. And I understand that, you know, there are pressures and there's time pressures. And
this is too good a segue to Anora. If you haven't heard, there has been a little backlash, rumblings from set from Anora. There's a online group, primarily of Hollywood professionals, that were sharing stories from Anora's set. I'm in the group, and the thing is with anonymous posts, you have to be really careful. This story got picked up in Hollywood Reporter. According to the story, IATSE, the union that represents most crew members, they intervened after there was a vote from the crew to go union. It was a surprise to a lot of crew members, supposedly. They had negotiations behind closed doors. One of the reports said that Sean Baker threw a quote-unquote hissy fit and was colder to the crew afterwards. Supposedly, the producers fought tooth and nail to avoid it going union. There were other reports from other members who said it didn't feel like that. They didn't describe it as a hissy fit. They said that Sean Baker looked emotional and grateful. They said that no one complained about union wages. Everyone felt like it was a typical indie shoot, got paid fair wages. So we don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that it turned union towards the end of the shoot. It could be, and this is a big thing. If the union crew is working non-union, those hours that they're working, they might not get paid overtime. Possibly, we don't know. Also, those hours won't go to their insurance. That's the thing.
Yes, that's the key, because I saw that post.
I don't know if it's easier or harder. We're not working for hours to get our health insurance. We're actually working towards how much money you make on a SAG project, and you have to get $23-some thousand a year to make health insurance.
I thought it was more now.
So
is it not more now? No.
Families' health insurance are being provided by this. Go ahead. What is it?
$25,950. So $26,000.
Out of all of Sean Baker's films, we go from Tangerine, we go to Red Rocket, we go to Florida Project. All these independent great films that he's been doing for the past 10, 15, 20 years, most of them were non-union. Okay?
Oh, I didn't realize
The only one was Florida Project.
The Florida Project was a big movie.
Directors in the DGA technically can work a non-union film, which is just bonkers. I mean, that's already a whole nother issue that we got to deal with. So the non-union crew...
With a budget of $6 million.
Exactly. A budget for $6 million. And the process started, and they essentially flipped the crew. Now, from the actor's perspective, a SAG actor, let's say, is wanted by a non-union production. A SAG actor can require or demand a SAG contract. And in that situation, and I think more actors need to know this because I learned this recently, SAG actors actually have the power to flip a production union. Obviously, we're a little union biased, but we want more productions to go union. This gets tricky when you say that someone usually works non-union because we don't want it to sound like they're disrespecting the crew, but if we're talking about a non-union film that you can imagine he shoots pretty run and gun. He has a very indie feel. He used this as an example. Actors were approaching real people, and he was getting it on film, and he would get them to sign a release later. But he was using real people in a run and gun scene in real crowds. And the issue was, he goes, "Do you know how much more difficult that is to do when there's 40 people around you and you just want everyone to go away?" He goes, "Come on, guys. Do we need the head of transportation here?" And I'll just speak from an example. I produced full-on web series. I shot short films and stuff like that. First of all, obviously, it was low budget. The hard work was just doing the paperwork. That being said, It was important for us to do the paperwork because we were like, okay, we want to play by the rules, and also being part of SAG, I wanted to make sure it was all kosher.
Yeah,
but when you talk about anyone who's doing an independent film right now, it's like, of course it makes more money sense to make things non-union because it's so difficult. It's so difficult to have all the paperwork and have all the regulations, and you can't be as run and gun. So I think the point I'm trying to make is like how you were saying, where everyone was just all cool, calm, and collected and casual. Here we are. I can't even imagine what I'm sure Anora was still a great experience, but you can imagine it's one of his indie films might be a little messier, and that's a bad way of saying it, and it's sad because you're saying, hey, all these regulations and restrictions that are protecting us, they kind of got in the way because there's a minimum. There's regulations that this person has to be here, or Nicole Kidman just made a comment about the intimacy coordinator. She's doing sex scenes with Timothée Chalamet right now. Yeah, literally right now they're having sex. I'm just joking. But
Wait, it wasn't
she
Nicole
spoke
Kidman.
out.
It was Gwyneth Paltrow, wasn't it? I don't
Oh
think
my
it was
God!
Nicole
Thank
Kidman.
you.
Yeah,
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 Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is having
yeah.
sex scenes with Timothée Chalamet, and she goes, "I'm from a different generation. This intimacy coordinator, you can back up, and I don't need your help." Now,
The quote that I read today was she said something like, I'm from an era where you get naked, you get into bed, and there's a camera rolling, or something like that. I might be butchering that quote,
yeah, exactly,
but that was
exactly,
the quote that I
exactly.
read.
No, that was another quote there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So that gives you an idea.
which is vital, though. I think. Right, but like it's to protect people. It's not regulation for regulation's sake. That one is vital to protect people because it's such a sensitive area, and you've heard horror stories of I don't want to say being abused, but like they're pretty much being abused on sets. So I think intimacy coordinators is a brilliant thing to have on a set, and I think it's vital. So filmmakers saying it gets in the way. I think that loses validity when it's to do with something as basic as people's safety in areas like that.
And so on top of that, we should mention this. Mikey Madison declined from having an intimacy coordinator on the set of Anora. Now, it's up to her. She was offered by the production, and she declined. Now, if you watch Anora, it's about she plays a sex worker. There's a lot of sex scenes in it, and it was up to her, but she declined. And also, to your point of this is why this is so important, aside from intimacy coordinator, we're also coming off of Rust. Rust is where the director of photography got shot on set accidentally. It was the Alec Baldwin feature film. So that already right off the bat gives you an idea of how important and how aware everyone is about unions, production safety, and also unions. And so I completely agree. I completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, this is here to protect everyone.
Was that set, sorry to interrupt you, was that set non-union or was it a union set that where just regulations were
No, that was
followed?
union.
It was union. That's what I thought. Yeah.
That was union.
Yeah. And corners were cut a lot in that production, but from what I read, I don't know. But like it seems like there were a lot of corners cut and safety was, obviously not prioritized.
But there is a Rust documentary right now. I'll put the link in the description. If you talk to any of the crew members if you talk to any crew members, they said it's almost like required watching for film and TV professionals, the Rust documentary. So I'll put a link in the description so people should check that out.
Yeah, look, ideally every film is union because it just protects people.
Well, Rian, on that note, most films aren't union. A lot of them are studio films, and necessarily they're union. But if you talk about like a lot of horror films, I mean, the fact that we didn't know that most of Sean Baker's movies were non-union. I mean, here's the thing: if you're doing a independent film for $2 million, a lot of people are doing it non-union in the woods of Kentucky, and financially, that actually makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you want to make sure that your actors are safe, but a lot of low budget films are non-union specifically for that reason. They can't afford and do all the paperwork.
So how do they use actors? How do they use union actors then? They're just
that's a big question.
Under the
a lot of people are working off the clock. I want to say for big stars, there might be a couple waivers. Yeah, it just won't go to their SAG health insurance money.
You'll get kicked out of the union if they catch you. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any hard, fast rules on it, but
I need to find this out because this is fascinating to me. Impose a penalty for working non-union jobs. Yes, potential consequences include hefty fines, suspension, or even expulsion from the union. SAG is clear about the fact that there can be consequences to the union at large if too many members decide to work non-union jobs.
And a lot of this union stuff is messy, but you can imagine coming off of the 2 strikes where we're being more informed and everyone's more engaged. And in America, pro union is a big deal. It's been making huge waves in the past couple of years. Obviously, now it's a little different now that Trump is president, and we'll see how that goes. But
it's become
all this stuff is messy.
Yeah, it is because it's become a very political thing where unions are being sort of demonized. Whereas, organized labor is the only power that people really have. Otherwise you're dependent on companies giving you fair conditions and fair wages. It's gotten harder and harder to make a living in the entertainment industry for a lot of people. So, go unions, I say. Fight the power, man.
That's the other thing. It's like without union minimums, you and I and other actors, we all love to act. So basically we're like, honestly, if you pay me $15 or if you just buy me lunch, of course I'll do it. So basically we would all be, usually when artists and money, usually they don't mix very well. So we need these regulations to protect and have some standards as far as this is sustainable and these minimums are there. And
yeah, and the thing is, like, because a lot of this job is, a lot of the work you do as an actor is unpaid. And you pay for classes, you pay for casting websites, you get headshots. There's a lot of cost involved. And then the vast majority of the work you do is essentially a job interview where you're just applying for jobs all the time. But you don't get paid for that. So when you do get paid, a union ensures that at least there is a minimum rate that kind of covers some of that cost. I was talking to a friend of mine one time, and he did a commercial, and it was a national commercial, and he got, I don't know, he ended up getting about 50 grand or something for it. And someone said, oh yeah, it's pretty good for a day's work, as in kind of like, oh, it must be nice for you. And he goes, do you know how many days I had to work for that day's work just to get to that day's work? You know what I mean? Do you know how many days I've put in that I didn't get paid a penny for? So it's not, people look at the rates of pay and go, that's crazy. And you're like, well, it's not when you like add up all the other things involved in it. Yeah. Like, I don't know any other job like that where the vast majority of the work you do for that profession is unpaid.
It's a high risk, high reward profession. And that's why we love it, If everyone could do this, everyone would. But this is kind of like the danger that we're playing.
I just saw a clip of Meryl Streep today saying actors are very zen, because she said a lot of the time you're not working, and then when you are working, you're completely consumed by that job, and then you're not working again. And she said so they're very zen because they have to be exactly where they are. You have to be okay with the not working, and then you're on the job and you're consumed by that. I don't know if I fully agree with that, if actors are very zen when they're not working, but it was an interesting take on it.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a cool point. I think that's a very rosy way of looking at it, but also she's the ultimate professional. I think maybe it's we hope and aspire to being more zen, being able to deal with the ups and downs, and in a dream world as well as Meryl Streep. You know what I mean? But I think it forces us to try to be more zen if we can handle this over amount of time.
It's probably easier to be like that when you're in her position, but I don't know, maybe she was always like that. It was just an interesting take on it, and I don't think it applies to everybody, but it's an interesting idea that like actors are very present in what they're doing because that's all they have,
Huh. I guess it depends on what people mean by zen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One thing I will say is I knew at an early age, part of the reason why I became an actor is I had an inkling that it was going to make me a better person. And just imagine, I had a feeling that even in my teen, I'm not even joking around, even in my teens, when I was secretly dreaming of possibly becoming an actor without any rhyme or reason, I thought if I became an actor, it would make me a better person. And I'm not going to lie, I was right. Like, it was forcing me to get out of my shell, forcing me to be in touch with my feelings in all the weird ways. I didn't know anything right or wrong, and I didn't even know if I was going to become an actor. But I just had this in the back of my head. And so my point is I was kind of right, and I still believe it. I think it changed my life for better. Here me speaking, and I'm not Meryl Streep. I'm not a bajillionaire. But I'm going to say that whatever I could learn through doing this over years, it probably did force me to become a little more zen.
That's a very self-aware kind of a mind, point of view, I think. And by better person, do you mean like a more well-rounded person, a more engaged person, or less of a bastard? Because initially, when you said a better person, I thought you meant, I'm a bit of a bastard, but this will make me a better person.
No, yeah, not the latter. So, more
Yes,
engaged.
that's okay.
And loosely more in touch with my feelings. To be honest, I think it actually might be a bit of both. I think that being less of a bastard is actually kind of more of a symptom or of a byproduct of maybe being a little more balanced and a little more zen.
I agree. It's a really healthy take on it, I think, and it's a really good reason to do it. Maybe a better person. I love that. Yeah, and I think so too. It hasn't made everybody a better person, I would say. I think
I agree. I agree. It's not a cure-all, everyone. It's not a cure-all.
So my hidden gem for this week is just based on just because I feel like I've gone there so often since I've been home that I should just give them a shout out. But Bear Coffee in Blackrock, which is on the south side of Dublin, we usually go to after swimming on a Sunday, after jumping in the sea. I say swimming, jumping in the sea for 3 to 4 minutes, freezing our asses off. We go to Bear Coffee, and the coffee is lovely. It's right in the middle of Blackrock there. The coffee's lovely. They let us sit there for hours. Sometimes we'll sit there for hours just chatting away. And they're very friendly and accommodating. And they have a nice little outdoor section at the back, which is covered. And it's full of sparrows, which I discovered the other day. So there's a lot of birds. So it's like drinking coffee in an aviary that's populated by sparrows. So Bear Coffee in Blackrock. There you go.
Wow.
That's BEAR, not bear as in naked. It's bear as in the animal.
Bear Market Coffee. We'll put the link in the description. So so my hidden gem, this is coming off of, if you listened to last episode, we did hidden gems that were very health conscious, and I just wanted to say I did laundry for the first time in a while. I probably shouldn't say it like that, but
your hidden gem is laundry? Come on, man.
No, are you kidding me? This is freaking Dr. Bronner's suds. Do you know Dr. Bronner's?
Do I know Dr. Bronner's? No, I don't.
Oh, are you saying? Oh, okay, good. So not only a lot of people know Dr. Bronner's, but I don't know if they've actually did Sal Suds. Okay, Dr. Bronner's is one of the most purest. They're very open about what chemicals they put in their cleansers. So you can have like hand soap. You could use the hand soap and it doubles as shampoo and all that stuff. I'm actually surprised you haven't heard of Dr. Bronner's. So this is a huge hidden gem for you.
Hang on a second. Let me look.
So Dr. Bronner's is everywhere. It's in Target and all that stuff. But Sal Suds is a biodegradable cleaner, concentrated all-purpose. Okay. So just to give you an idea, the beauty of these things.
Sorry.
Oh, see?
I use their. I buy their peppermint and I buy their lavender soap.
Exactly. That's literally what I use for body wash. It's cost effective, but also has many, many multiple purposes. But it's also very clean and good for the environment and supposedly healthy for us, right? Less chemicals. Anyway, so this is specifically a biodegradable cleaner, all-purpose cleaner. The flavor is Siberian fir and spruce. Okay.
When you say flavor, you mean the scent. Don't eat this.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Scent. Thank you. Do not drink it. Do not drink it, everyone. It doesn't do that. So we have here. You could use it for laundry. You could use it for a few drops for dishes. You could use it to mop the floor. You could use it to rinse fruits and veggies. You can use it to wipe patio furniture, car washing, exterior windows. Anyway.
You could use it to wax up a slip and slide. There you go. Dr. Bronner.
Exactly. So if you're a Dr. Bronner's fan, try the suds.
And the soap. The soap is great. Try the peppermint soap. That bar soap is brilliant. The peppermint and the lavender.
I respect that. All right, guys. That's our episode. Catch us next week. And if you get a chance, leave us a review, leave us a like, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you like what you saw, maybe give a like, maybe subscribe. It helps people find the podcast. Also, if you didn't catch last week's episode, it's right over here. Don't worry, we'll wait.